Welcome to our February Daring to Learn webinar session. If this is your first time joining us, I'm going to go ahead and explain a little bit. And if you are returning from previous sessions, welcome back. We normally have a pretty good crowd that joins us every month. My name is Alaina Boyd. Some of you may recognize me from past sessions. I normally am your moderator for these webinars. Today I am actually going to be presenting to you guys, so switching things up a little bit. I am with the Center for Profitable Agriculture in UT Extension. And I do a really bad job of this every time. I always forget to kind of explain that we're with CPA. So I will go ahead and get started and give some more introduction. There we go. All right, so again, my name is Alaina Boyd. I'm an extension assistant with the Center for Profitable Agriculture based in Columbia, Tennessee. So our office is actually a formal partnership between the University of Tennessee Extension and Tennessee Farm Bureau. So we work to provide resources and assistance to farmers who are either already working in value-added agriculture or they're interested in getting started. Myself specifically, I am part of CPA's value-added dairy team. We do a lot of fun things that mainly provide support to the Southeast Dairy Business Innovation Initiative. So if any of you guys are dairy farmers or kind of interested in value-added dairy, I can follow up with you and give some more information on that. Like I said, I normally moderate these sessions, but today I am going to be presenting. So with tomorrow being Valentine's Day, I thought it would be fitting to give this presentation today on influencer matchmaking. So we'll be talking about working with social media influencers today, how to find social media influencers, and kind of what that entails for your farm business. There we go. My slides are sticking. All right, so just a disclaimer before we go any further. All the information in this presentation that I'm about to give to you guys is just for informational purposes only. Any of the specific brands that we talk about, influencers, influencer platforms, that's just for educational purposes. I'm in no way suggesting or endorsing them. So this is just for you guys to learn more about social media influencers. And our overview for our presentation today, so we're going to be looking at what are influencers, tips and tools for kind of navigating that space. And towards the end, I'm going to give some examples of some influencers in kind of the ag industry and in farming that I think you guys should know about. So jumping right in, we want to be looking at what exactly influencers are. So what do they do? Sprout Social, which is a really great website. They have lots of good information. Sprout defines influencers as someone in your niche or industry with sway over your target audience. And then Influencer Marketing Hub, which is another great website, they give us a similar definition, and they describe influencers as someone who has the power to affect the purchasing decision of others. So whether that means they have authority, kind of in an industry, knowledge, maybe their position or their relationship with their audience. So influencers obviously influence customers to make some kind of purchasing decision. So if you want to think about, have you ever seen something on social media, whether that's on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, where somebody recommended something to you and you thought to yourself, wow, I'm going to buy that. That's just an example of how you got influenced. So there are 4 different types of influencers just based on follower numbers. And this graphic from Influencer Marketing Hub kind of breaks those down. So we start at the top with what they call mega influencers. So think celebrities like Taylor Swift, Beyonce, the Kardashians, folks with millions of followers on TikTok or Instagram, and then we move down into macro influencers. So these may be some of your kind of smaller celebrities, micro influencers, and then at the very bottom we have nano influencers. So breaking those four types of influencers we just talked about down by the numbers, this graphic is from Sprout Social. Just from a numbers perspective, um, again, we can see the mega influencers. Like I said, these are the folks with millions of followers on whatever platform they're on. And then we see the macro influencers are between 100,000 to a million. So those still may be a celebrity, some kind of influential figure. They just don't have the millions plus followers as the mega influencers do. And then our micro influencers are some of the smaller scale creators. So I like to think about maybe your favorite TikTok creator, someone that has between 10,000 and 100,000 followers on whatever platform they're on. And if you're not as familiar with social media, um, these numbers may not mean that much to you, but this is just sort of a good way to see kind of the differences. And then, of course, with the nano influencers, these folks are very small scale. So one way that you could think about nano influencers, maybe in your community, these could be your local politicians, mayors, public speakers, some kind of authority figure in the community. I know kind of in our area where we're from, our local government officials, the mayor, they may have 2 or 3 thousand followers on Facebook, and that would then categorize them as an influencer, kind of in that respect. So, looking specifically at the types of content that influencers can produce, Influencer Marketing Hub breaks this down with some examples. So, influencers could be bloggers, they could be YouTubers, so someone that's making content strictly for YouTube and uploading those videos. The category of podcasters was not one that I immediately thought about when I think about influencers, but it makes sense. If you kind of keep up with any kind of social media at all, you'll kind of see now, especially with people that make content on TikTok, almost everyone has a podcast now. If you're local to Tennessee, you may be familiar with the Tennessee Farmers Cooperative. They actually have a podcast called The Feed Bin. So that's just another type of content that they could create. And then we have just the social posters only. So those are your typical Instagram, TikTok, Facebook kind of influencers, where you'll see their content pretty regularly. So you may be asking yourself, kind of at this point, what exactly do influencers do? And if this slide overwhelms you, that's totally okay, because the answer to that question, what do influencers do, can be a little bit overwhelming. So, uh, like I said, it can be overwhelming to understand what exactly influencers or content creators do. And the long story short is anything you can think of, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, live streams, brand deals. If you've seen maybe an influencer or a celebrity working with a specific brand, that counts. Maybe you've seen collaborations between other creators. So if you spend any kind of time at all on TikTok or Instagram, you may see folks that post a lot. They do a collab with someone else that has really popular content, maybe for one specific brand or just between each other. Um, and kind of the important thing to take away from this slide is that influencers all have their own specialties and niches that they're comfortable with, and not every single type of influencer will make the type of content that you might like or that's right for your specific audience, which is okay. Um, it's important to remember that not every type of content out there can work for your farm business or is needed for your brand or your platforms. And another thing that I wanted to touch on, so I've used that term influencer already a couple times and content creator, and I wanted to talk about the difference between influencers and content creators. So you might recognize the two ladies on this slide from somewhere. Um, Everyone hopefully should recognize Kim Kardashian, one of the famous Kardashian sisters. Um, Her social media follower count is in the hundreds of millions. She's one of the top rated celebrity influencers in the world. She has more Instagram followers than both Beyonce and Taylor Swift. That might have changed since the Super Bowl for any of you Taylor Swift fans. Um, but even for non-Swifties, that's a big deal to have that kind of reach and platform that Kim Kardashian does. Whether you like her, whether you love her, whether you support the kind of content that she puts out there, you can't deny that she has a massive um, following and reach with her platform. Um, she promotes big brands and products across social media. She does paid promotions on television in order to influence potential customers to purchase either her products or another brand's products or to sign up for a service. So she has a lot going on for her just as an influencer. And this celebrity on the right may be a little bit harder to guess. Um, my husband said that that wouldn't make anybody laugh, but maybe you did if you recognize that's just me on the right side of the screen. And even though I am just as fabulous as Kim Kardashian, I am not an influencer. Um, I would categorize myself more as a content creator. So content creators, kind of like their name suggests, they focus just on creating content, whether that's photos or video, digital content for social media. They're more worried about creating content based on the industry they work in or for their established audience rather than increasing a follower count or their audience size. So, content creators may post things more geared towards their passions, hobbies, and that just fills that kind of role more appropriately. So, they're not really out to influence anybody to buy into whatever they're trying to sell you. Um, and like I said, I'm not necessarily trying to influence people to join my target audience. I already know the niche or the market that I'm creating content for, and hopefully, um, like other content creators, I distribute that every time to that audience that already exists. So now I want to talk about ways that influencers can work specifically with you for your farm business or for your brand. And you may recognize some of these kind of posts, some of this content. You may have seen it before across social media. So one of the most recognizable ways I think is in the form of a shout out. So anytime someone posts about or tags a brand or a business on social media, that ends up as a shout out. Those don't necessarily have to come from influencers, but obviously influencers with their large or growing social media followings, those shout outs will be pretty beneficial for whatever brand they're posting about. And then, of course, there are giveaways. I see this a lot on Instagram. Um, I think maybe it's growing a bit on Facebook. It just depends. I see a lot of giveaways with maybe local or community kind of influencers. And then, of course, folks on Instagram. So, kind of those mid-level, micro to macro types of influencers, you'll see giveaways a lot, but that just entices customers to engage with that influencer's content by offering some type of a giveaway. That could be one of your farm's products or a service if you provide a service. Um, and then there are platform takeovers. So this is where the influencer post directly to your account. You give them some kind of control, whether that's directly through Facebook or you may, there are other ways to give folks access to post to your social media rather than just sharing your passwords. But this is where they post directly to the account with their either their recognizable face, their recognizable identity. The hope is to kind of generate buzz around the takeover. So this has happened before locally in Tennessee with our state FFA convention. They will have either past state officers or kind of folks in the industry post specifically to the Tennessee FFA Association's platforms. And of course, with that specific audience that Tennessee FFA has, the hope there is that the folks that are doing the takeover and the followers for that specific social media account will recognize that person and tune in or like or share the content. And then another way is through affiliate marketing. So this is when an influencer promotes your brand, and they're compensated sort of on a commission basis. So whatever type of content they may be posting to their own platforms, um, the way that they're reimbursed or compensated for that effort would just be commissions from those sales. And kind of a classic example of this affiliate marketing would be, again, celebrities promoting a brand. So if any of you guys watched the Super Bowl over the weekend, Ben Affleck and his Dunkin' Donuts commercial, that's a big one. I think, the hope there is that that's going to generate more sales for Dunkin' Donuts, and then they'll compensate him appropriately. So this other slide here, we've got just a couple more ways to look at how influencers can work with you. So sponsored content, this is content that the influencer creates that's sponsored by your brand or business. So if there's like a local event going on in the community, or say there's some kind of convention or something that you could get involved with, you sponsor what that influencer is posting. Then they can wear maybe a t-shirt with your logo on it, or they talk about your farm products or something. Generally in sponsored content, they do have to let the audience know that it is being sponsored by a brand. So you'll see that now on TikTok. If any of you have come across the Bloom nutrition powder, it's like a fruit and vegetable powder that you'll add to your water. They do a lot of sponsored content, and you will see on the TikTok on the video it'll say sponsored content because typically they have to disclose that. Another type of way that influencers can work with you could be product seeding. So this is seen a lot with makeup or maybe skincare brands. I've seen it even sometimes with clothing brands like Lululemon, women's clothing, popular women's clothing, that sort of thing. This is where you, as the brand or the company, would send free product to an influencer in the hopes that they would then post about it online to kind of generate conversation. So if you've ever seen any get ready with me type videos, or maybe try-ons, or unboxing videos, I see lots of unbox this new product with me on TikTok. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. That's just one way that influencers can do product seeding um, for your business. And then, of course, brand ambassadors. This is really common, I think. People see that a lot. And um, typically, these brand ambassador positions are a more long-term arrangement. Of course, these ambassadors are the face of your brand. So I've got a picture of Matthew McConaughey on here. Everybody knows him, hopefully as the famous actor, but if not, the guy from the Lincoln commercials. So he is a very passionate Lincoln owner, so much so that Lincoln has officially made him the brand ambassador for their luxury vehicles. Um, so maybe there's someone in your community that you could think about, or you may already be working with someone that could be considered a brand ambassador for your business. Um, so that's just one kind of brand ambassador relationship to think about. So now that we've touched on all these things, you may be asking, how do I price an influencer? Um, and I just want to say that influencer rates can vary pretty widely, um, to the point that depending on which website you look at or which platform you're looking for an influencer on, or say you're just working with maybe a nano influencer directly, the, the price ranges can be kind of drastically different. And there are ways to make sure that the rate that the influencer is requesting from you is fair. And a, a big thing for you guys to take away from this and just kind of remember, look at their track record as an influencer, look at their previous campaigns, maybe brands they've been involved with, the content that they're posting, specifically some suggestions to look at to make sure that maybe the rate that they're requesting is fair. Look at their influencer marketing return on investment. So the ROI, there are some platforms that can show you that depending on their scale as an influencer, they may have that information readily available for you. Some of these influencers now have rate sheets, which is another thing you can look for. So um, standard influencer rates, rate cards. Um, we have a couple of those that I'll show you guys in slides later on. Um, but as influencer marketing is becoming more popular, it seems to be becoming more and more common for um, influencers to provide you with some kind of track record or rate card, so you have an idea of what to look for. And just kind of specifically to take a peek at pricing, I've got 3 pricing slides that we'll look at. Um, So this first image came from Influencer Marketing Hub. I've used a lot of their stuff in these slides today. And once I get you guys the copy of these, there are links for the source on all this stuff, so you can go back and double check. This graphic specifically is just looking at the top influencer marketing platforms, but then there's pricing based on these. So Grin is one we'll talk again about later. Their pricing is on request. Brandwatch, as you can see, it's for more larger scale operations, but their pricing starts at $750. It's kind of unclear from this graphic if that means that that's just per post, per influencer, and of course, Upfluence is on request, and some of these others you can see the dollar amounts there. So this is just one example to show that the pricing varies and can be drastically different depending on how you're contacting or working with your influencers. So this specifically, this slide is an Instagram rate sheet from 2022. So it's about 2 years old. And you can see if this is broken down by influencer type. Then it's got follower count on there. So they've even got a fifth category of influencer that we didn't talk about, that mid-range in between micro and macro. And you can see the dollar amounts that are broken down. So just for Instagram, that starting at $10 and going up to 10,000 plus, that range is of course pretty big. And then these pricing examples are specifically from 2024. This is an estimate provided by InBeat, and you can kind of go across and see. Again, it's broken down by influencer type, and then it's got the platform. So Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat. Snapchat's not one that I'll talk much about in this presentation as kind of an option to work with, but again, just to give you an idea. And this next slide specifically is about TikTok. And I thought this was important enough that I wanted to give it its own slide, talk about it here. InBeat again says that TikTok is different than regular social media platforms. So TikTok's algorithm does not just show a video to people that follow a specific creator. I could have interacted with a video that's kind of adjacent to the content that someone's posting, and then I might see that creator's video later on my For You page. So the potential that TikTok videos have to reach a wider audience is, I dare say, unlimited, because it's not limited to just the follower count or who's following somebody on the platform. TikTok posts are about 3 times more expensive because of that. So those extremely high exposure levels and the value that that can bring to a brand makes that price tag obviously a little bit heavier. These figures up here, kind of in the top left corner, these are just an average price for TikTok, broken down by influencer category. So again, we've got that mid tier that I didn't feature in my first couple slides. So seeing that $800 per post may sound like a lot. Well, then we go all the way up to, if you're thinking about mega influencers, that's $7,000 plus per post. So you can see the price tag is pretty heavy on those. And then of course, kind of another way I've got to explain it, this increased product exposure on TikTok, that's just going to end up in more dollars being spent by somebody who saw it on TikTok. If you're familiar with the app, you may have heard that. I saw it on TikTok, so I bought it. There's a lot of potential there. Another way to kind of assess influencer value, this formula specifically came from Shopify. And I've got it linked down in here to where you guys can check this out on the slides later. But this is just showing the cost per thousand of an influencer. So they're basing that on the average number of views, likes, and comments on their last 5 TikTok pieces of content, and then divide that by the cost of the content, and it'll give you that number. Just as another way to assess value, if that kind of math or number information is valuable to you. And then you might be wondering, are influencers worth it for me, for my farm business? again, that answer is going to be different from everybody, which is okay. Um, one of the best ways, again, to determine if you're paying the right amount is to look at that return on investment that I talked about earlier. And then I've got a definition here for that ROI, if some of you are maybe not familiar with what that means. So that's just the percent or the dollar amount that your brand is going to get in return for your investment. And in this case, that's going to be your influencer marketing campaign. So if you spend $1,000 and then you get $7,000 back, I would say that's pretty good. If you spend $1,000 and you only get $2,000 back, maybe that's not the best move for your brand, and it may be time to rethink or look at other options. So still talking about ROI, if you're mathematically inclined into numbers, all that fun stuff, there's actually a influencer ROI calculator available online through Rose. So you can just type in Rose influencer calculator. It'll look like this when it pulls up, which is kind of cool. So if you know some of this information, if you're running some type of influencer campaign, you can plug that in. Um, it's a really neat tool, and it's a good thing to rely on if you're looking for that type of ROI information. So again, just touching on, you may be asking, is influencer marketing right for me? So we've talked about whether or not it might be, profitable or worth it, but is it right for your brand or your business? Um, and the big thing is you won't know until you try it. If you're not interested in social media, it may not be worth the time or the hassle for you. Um, I mentioned earlier that influencers and content creators all have their specific specialty. So not every single content or influencer will make content that's right for your audience, and that's okay. Um, it's okay to try different approaches with different influencers. So don't think if you work with one, you're stuck with that one. Don't be afraid to start small either, especially if you're kind of shying away from social media, or if you think this is just way in over my head, I don't even know how to begin. I would suggest finding a local social media savvy young person. That may be hard for you. There may not be someone either in your family or working with your business that you would be think would be right for that. Um, if that's the case, I would suggest maybe reaching out to either your county's FFA or 4-H clubs. There may be a local ag student in your area that they either already have the social media following that you're looking for, or they know how to do these things and you're interested in kind of starting that relationship on a small scale. It never hurts to ask if they may be interested in posting or creating content for your page. If you're not willing to completely do a social media takeover, we kind of talked about that earlier. Um, Ask whoever you're working with if they can just draft some copy, so captions, maybe what they're going to post with the content, and share some images, or come to the farm and take photos. And then you can use their user generated content. You may have heard that before. UGC is user generated content. Use that to your advantage. You don't have to give an influencer complete access to your social media accounts if that makes you nervous, or if that's what's kind of preventing you from working with an influencer. So I mentioned user-generated content, and again, that's just content that is created by your users, your followers, your audience for your brand. Um, I encourage you not to underestimate the power that your customers or your followers sharing via word of mouth or on their social media pages will have for your business. Um, so we see user-generated content a lot with kind of agritourism operations or pick your own venues. Um, Kind of a common example would be you've got a mom or maybe a young couple, and they come to the farm and they take super cute pictures and they post about the awesome time they had, and they use your company or your brand's hashtag. They tag your farm page. Ideally, all their friends will see it. Well, then they come, the friends take more photos, and it kind of starts this cycle. That's what we hope for. So user-generated content can take a huge load off of your shoulders to spread the word about your farm or your operation if you have the opportunity for people to create it. These don't have to be Kim Kardashian level influencers to create quality user-generated content that brings in new followers or new customers to your farm. So I've got some personal examples on this slide to show you guys. So this very first photo is at a U-Pick tulip farm in Alabama. I actually went there with my family, and if you can't tell, we're Scottish Terrier people. So this is my dog Max at Herbert Family Tulips. I took this great picture, posted it on Instagram, used their hashtags, tagged the farm. Um, that just generates that content for them that they can then reuse or reshare, and my friends or my followers would see it and hopefully then go visit Herbert Family Tulips. And kind of another example of user-generated content that I have here to show you this middle picture. So we've got the dog sitting on top of the cooler that has all the stickers on it. Well, not only does this count as user-generated content for Yeti, also these brands that I have on my cooler. There's a Pit Viper sticker on there. I tagged Pit Viper, I tagged Yeti. Um, Tag some of the other smaller companies. That's just a way to throw that out on social media so people could see it and say, oh, I like that color, or oh, I like that sticker, or I've never heard of this brand. I'm going to follow them. That's kind of the idea. So this last photo here on the right, this is an example of a photo opportunity that someone can use with a cute backdrop on your farm to kind of post content to their personal feeds. If you don't already have an opportunity for people to take pictures, because people love to take pictures, I would encourage you to come up with something so they could do that with. My family, we have this cutout of the Scotty, so all of our dog pictures, we take it with the Scotty. That's actually the kennel logo. So just kind of an idea of things you could use for user-generated content. And another thing I wanted to touch on just really quickly is kind of understanding the reality versus expectation of working with social media influencers. So remember that not every brand or every account will get the mega millions of followers that Kim Kardashian or Taylor Swift has. It's also important to kind of think about you may not be able to work with someone on the Matthew McConaughey level as a brand ambassador, and that's okay. The important thing is to remember that there is an audience out there and there is a niche for every single business. You may just not have found yours yet. And that's why it's important to find the combination of content and influencers that work for you. This might mean working with influencers um, just isn't right for your brand. It's not right for your business identity, and you want to stay away from it. That's fine. So now that we've touched on all these things, I want to move now into some matchmaking tools to match with your influencers that I think you guys should know. So earlier in our slides, we looked at Grin. It's an influencer marketing software. They call it a creator management platform. Um, Grin is, of course, best for e-commerce businesses. They say of all sizes. So if you're selling something on your website online, um, or if you're relying on e-commerce as a way to bring in income, Grin may be a tool that can work for you. And again, that pricing is available upon request. Some notable clients for Grin, that includes Chubbies. If you guys have ever maybe seen them online, they make like men's shorts and men's swim trunks. I don't think they make women's clothing, but they use Grin for working with influencers. So another good tool to know is Hype Auditor. I have actually personally used Hype Auditor, so I know a little bit more about it. Um, with Hype Auditor, you'll get what they call influencer reports. So you can actually go online to Hype Auditor's website. You can pull an influencer report for free. I think you get one for free, and then after that, they have subscriptions where you pay for the service. But you can see their follower accounts. You can see the platforms that this influencer exists on. They give you trends and ranks. And then, of course, that, like I mentioned, you can start for free and then upgrade to get more in-depth features. What's interesting with Hype Auditor, there is a business version, and then there is a content creator version of this platform. So you can do different things with each type of membership, um, which is just kind of neat to know. And this is an example of a Hype Auditor influencer report for an ag influencer that I'm going to touch on later before we wrap up. So this report was generated completely for free. I didn't have to pay to see Courtney's follower count. I could see when was the last time she posted, search for her by platform. So this entire report comes with all these analytics. Um, at the time when I downloaded it, it was free if you had a TikTok account. You just had to follow the steps and give Hype Auditor access to your TikTok account, kind of like when you log in through Facebook for a platform um, similar to that. And I was able to get all this information without paying for it, which is pretty neat. So really quickly, another matchmaking tool to know, LTK. You may have seen this on Pinterest if you guys use Pinterest, or maybe if you follow a lot of creators on Instagram, you'll see this LTK tagged somewhere on their profile or in their post. Um, so like to know it, this screenshot is from their homepage on their website. It says they're the top influencer platform in the world for creator guided shopping. So I took that to mean an influencer posts their outfit. Well, you really love the sweater they have on and you want to buy it. They have it on their like to know it on their LTK. You can click the link, get to where they bought it, and then buy it from there. Um, so LTK works for both brands and creators. What's interesting to know about them, their influencers are handpicked. So they already have established followings. They're not, brand new. Um, that's just kind of a vetting process, I guess, to make sure that they have reliable influencers that you can work with. And again, I had already mentioned this, but they use it to link items or products on their Instagram or their Pinterest where the customer can go back and buy them. This may work better if you have physical products like lotions or soaps on your farm, or if you have like farm shirts or bags or that kind of thing. Um, you can also find what's trending with influencers through LTK, which is interesting to know if you're looking for a specific type of influencer and you want to appeal to them. You can see what's trending currently. Then another one that we'll talk about, Collaborate. So Collaborate calls themselves the Tinder for influencers. They claim to be the first mobile app to offer one-on-one collaborations between brands and influencers. I've not used this platform. It was kind of hard to find. I wanted to find what it would look like when you open it. When you go to their website for Collaborate, it just brings you to the option to download the app. So I have a screenshot here of kind of what it looks like on the inside. And then the website also gives you this number of their current reach for Collaborate. Um, I assume that's the amount of influencers they have on the platform, which would make sense. But that may just be the number of matches between influencer and brand. But they, like I said, they claim to be the first mobile app to offer one-on-one collaboration. You can chat back and forth and message as the brand with the influencers that you're working with, and you can make payments directly inside the app to the influencer. That way you don't have to deal with maybe Venmo or trying to write them a paper check or anything like that. Everything is integrated into the app for iOS or Android. And I have talked for longer than I thought I have, so we're running out of time. But just some other notable matchmaking tools that I wanted you guys to be aware of. I put their logos on here. I've got some information about them. Brandwatch that we talked about earlier. Brandwatch is another one. Upfluence was in some earlier slides. Creator.co as well. Influicity and Indahash. I had never heard of Indahash, but they were listed on several different influencer kind of websites that were ranking the best platforms to use. And hashtag paid, I had never heard of hashtag paid either. Here's their logo. What's interesting to see is they're used by IKEA, Hershey's, and Unilever, which is kind of neat. And you can see on this slide as well, a couple of different big brands use multiple different matchmaking tools or kind of platforms to work with their influencers. So that just tells you that they're working with different kinds of influencers to do different kinds of content, and which is kind of cool. And we are, since we're so short on time, I'm not going to do a demo for Hype Auditor. If we had more time, I would run through. But I'll leave this on here so when you guys get the PowerPoint slides afterwards, you can click through and kind of do that on your own because it's neat to see. So we'll run through really quickly kind of some ag and farm influencers to know. And I broke these down by influencer category. So our first nano influencer is elementary ag teacher. She is actually a college classmate of mine and one of my sorority sisters. So we were in Sigma Alpha together. That's the professional agriculture sorority. And she started this page called Elementary Ag Teacher. And now Emma goes kind of across the country. She's been to Oklahoma. She's been to a couple of other places, just talking to students in schools about ag in the classroom. She is really involved on a farm kind of in the Murfreesboro, Tennessee area with her boyfriend. And she worked on the MTSU farm at Middle Tennessee State University. So she has a lot of farm content to post. That's all, purely educational. She utilizes a lot of short form video and images. So Facebook, Instagram, she does a lot on TikTok, but she is kind of a really good example of a nano influencer. Her social media following is under 1,000, and she's still putting out really neat content. And obviously, folks have found her because she traveled to Oklahoma to speak to schools there. So don't underestimate these nano influencers. A good micro influencer to know would be Courtney DeHoff, the fancy lady cowgirl. So this is actually the influencer that I pulled the Hype Auditor report for. Um, Courtney does a lot kind of in the Western lifestyle agriculture space. She's a public speaker, she's a brand ambassador, a really big agricultural advocate. Her social media following is approximately 50,000. These screenshots are older. They're from 2023, so those numbers have changed now. But she's on Facebook, she's on TikTok, she's on Instagram, she's on LinkedIn. She's kind of on all the platforms available to her. Um, and kind of as a micro influencer, she's got a bigger audience to reach. Um, she does a lot of short form video, again, still images for Facebook and Instagram, and then she does longer videos for YouTube, things like that. She has established brand loyalty. That was a big thing I wanted you guys to know. So she has a dedicated, like, fancy lady cowgirl audience. They know her, they follow her, they're committed to that brand. And lastly, the macro mega level influencer, ag and farm influencer I wanted you guys to know would be the Peterson Farm Brothers. So if you guys have been active on Facebook or Instagram at all, kind of in the last decade or so, you've probably seen them, the iFarming and I Grow It guys. They're from the Midwest. So they have been creating farm and ag content since 2012. They have a combined Facebook and Instagram following of 1.6 million now, which is pretty big. As you can see, they're on all sorts of different platforms. So YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Twitter is no longer Twitter, it's X now, but then they're on Snapchat as well. So again, they do short form video, long form video for YouTube. That's where they put all their parody songs out. Still images kind of them farming, life on the farm. So kind of a good mix of content. And again, they also have established brand loyalty. People know the Peterson Farm Brothers. They know the I Farm and then I Grow It guys. Um, their content and their parody songs have been out for so long now. People recognize them. And these folks may be some audiences' only interaction with agriculture. So I thought they were a really good one to share with you guys. Um, and that wraps up our slides. This is some contact information for you guys. Don't panic because you'll this will be on the recording on YouTube later, and I can also get to any of this stuff in our follow-up email. And I know it's about 12:25 now. If anybody had any questions, I don't mind to run over and answer any questions, run over on time. So if you have any, feel free to raise your hand, drop something in the chat box or the Q&A, and I will answer what I can for you guys. Um, and if this is your first time on a Daring to Learn session, this last slide, this QR code is the attendance and evaluation form that I have you guys fill out at the end of each session. So if you're looking to get Tennessee AEP credit, please fill this out with your information. That way I know that you participated. And you can give feedback on the presentation as well. Any feedback at all would be helpful. But these are all the slides that I had for you. So if no one has any questions, feel free to hop off. And if not, I will answer what I can. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I gave you that's the wrong QR code. Okay. I will fix that. Thank you for letting me know. I'll get the correct QR code. The link for this year's surveys, let me put that in the chat box real quick. Okay, I'm gonna put that in the chat so you guys can see it. Sorry about that. So the 2024 attendance survey link is in the chat box. That's tiny.utk. I'll type this on here as well. tiny.utk.edu/D2L, D like dog, the number 2, L, SURV 24. And that's correct in the emails that I have been sending you guys. The QR code is just wrong in the slides, so I will make sure to fix that. And if nobody else has anything, I think we are good to go. So thank you guys for joining us. Feel free to hop off if you need, and advice for creating your own content. Gotcha. So I will go ahead and kind of talk about this. Mary asked for some advice for creating your own content. So I would say that answer is going to be different for every person, depending on what you have on your farm. There is a lady local to me. She is kind of a homestead creator, and she just does YouTube reels of what she does every day. So when she feeds, she's got kind of a small scale. She's got some goats and cows, and she got into beekeeping. So she just does a reel of what she does every day. I've seen some folks on TikTok, especially, who when they're feeding the goats, or when they're out, checking the cows, or when they're doing, maybe they're working on a piece of equipment, they will just video what they're doing and kind of walk through that and explain, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it. And the folks who are so removed from the farm love that. That may be their only interaction with ag. For the day, for the week, for the month that they know of. So people love to see kind of you explaining what you're doing on the farm, why you're doing it. If you're not into video, maybe you don't want to show yourself, maybe you don't want to talk. Pictures are good. So even just any kind of still image of the sunset on the farm, of maybe the goat, if you got goats being cute, or say you're doing honey, something like that, maybe a picture of your honey in a jar, or you're using it in a recipe. If you're a value-added producer, especially, say you've got jams and jellies or something like that, a picture of that product being used in a recipe is a really easy way to create content. If you're struggling with maybe captions or hashtags to use, I would say that it wouldn't hurt to switch things up and look at what other farms around you are doing, and don't be afraid to kind of draw inspiration from what they're posting. I hope that helps. And Brandon asked about a TAEP question. Brandon, I owe you a follow-up email. I will answer you on that. But if any of you folks got TAEP credit last year in 2023, the TAEP administrator has record of that. So for the folks that completed, they have that. But I will send you a follow-up email, Brandon. I will just say too, since there are still some folks on, in the PowerPoint slides that I'm going to share with you later today, this recording will go up on YouTube. You'll get a copy of the PowerPoint slides. The links to everything that I talked about, all the sources, those links are in the PowerPoint, and I can make sure that everybody gets that. But if we don't have anything else, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, and I'm going to wrap up and close out this session. So thank you guys.